What's up, everybody? How to Tech. We're going to do another disassembly today of a OnePlus X. One of the first tools we're going to need to do this is going to be a heat gun. We need this to remove the glass back off of the phone. We'll also be using a suction cup to help us pull. You can also use a razor blade that'll help out as well. A small Phillips screwdriver. This is a 00. We'll also need a couple of pry tools to help us pull the glass back off, as well as a nylon spudger. The nylon spudger will help us pull up any ribbon cables on the inside of the phone. And then just this variety of tools to help us pull the back off. So a couple playing cards are always handy, some guitar picks, and then we'll need this SIM card removal tool to pop out our SIM card slots. We'll go ahead and do that now and remove this out of the phone. The next step is to go ahead and heat the backup. Now, we want to get this nice and warm. We don't want to melt the phone itself. There's actually a plastic ring around the device that kind of holds this glass back in place. So we don't necessarily want to damage that by using a ton of metal tools. What we're going to do is get it nice and warm. My heat gun is at its highest setting, so I'm not going to put it on here for a long time. The goal is to get something slipped underneath the device so we can pull the glass up. We're going to use a small flat razor blade, and this will fit in between the crevice of the plastic housing and the glass back so we can slip our guitar pick under. Now, the reason why we're not going to use this metal tool solely is that it'll damage the coating on the back of the phone, so you'll actually see the black kind of peel off of the glass, which is just kind of a paint coating underneath. So using our guitar pick and playing card to get this started, work our way up the side of the device. Now, if you feel a lot of resistance around the phone, what you can do is actually just warm the glass up again. You don't want to shatter this the glass off the back of the phone, so you want to be careful with that. So if you feel a lot of resistance, make sure you give it a little bit more heat. Using a guitar pick to go around. Now, the benefits of using a playing card is you're not going to really deform the plastic housing this glass back sits into. So I would suggest using the playing card as much as possible. It's just a little bit more time consuming than using a guitar pick. So we're getting a lot of resistance. We're going to go ahead and warm it back up here with our heat gun. And it looks like there's some adhesive kind of in the middle of the device here. So we're going to get that warm so we can pry that up also. See, it's much quicker once you get it nice and warm. Alright, now with this side of the phone, we can go ahead and try to pull the backing up here. Still doesn't want to come up fully, so what we're going to heat the top up. That way we can go ahead and pull the glass upwards without actually shattering it at the top. Get it nice and warm up here. Loosen this just a little bit. You don't want to pull the plastic housing away. That's kind of a pain to repair. So we can see that we have this removed, and you can see that there's some tape residue remaining on the frame. So before we put it back together, we need to clean that up also. You can see how it was adhered to the device. Now with the interior portion displaying, what we need to do next is go ahead and remove all the screws out of the device. We'll go ahead and start up here at the top. There's a total of 7 screws to be removed. All of these are Phillips screws, and I would definitely make sure that you keep track of where these come out on the phone. They are different size screws in this phone. They just don't want to come out, so I'm going to use a pair of tweezers to pull these little screws out. Don't want to lose any of them. Now we have 4 screws across the top. Two more to go. Now with that done, we can go ahead and remove the backing off of this top portion of the phone. Now there is a little plastic housing, so it can be a little tricky to pull out, so you want to lift it up and then pull back towards the battery, and then I'll release the housing out of the phone. Then we'll go ahead and reveal our battery connector. Go ahead and pull that up. And it has this nifty pull tab here. I never find these things that nifty, to be honest with you. They never seem to work properly. We're going to pull on it so we can't get it to pop out for us. And our battery's starting to deform a little bit. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and use a nylon spudger underneath it to go ahead and pry it up. Sometimes these work great, depending upon the amount of adhesive used on the particular phone or how tightly bonded it is to the phone. Sometimes these little pull tabs just don't work out that fantastic. Now you want to be very careful when you're putting a spudger underneath this battery. There are ribbon cables that run underneath of the battery. So we're just going to put our nylon spudger underneath and kind of twist it back and forth a little bit to help us loosen the adhesive, not being extremely forceful. And as you're pulling it, it'll almost kind of make a cracking sound, and that's perfectly normal for this type of adhesive. So if you can see the adhesive where it's adhered to the frame, just put your spudger in, pull it just a little bit, see it start to pull away. And when you get enough leverage, you can go ahead and just pull the battery back and out of the phone. So it's deformed just a little bit. We're just going to go ahead and reform the battery back into its flat shape. Now you can see the cables that are running underneath the battery down to the bottom portion of the phone. Go ahead and pop these cables up and off of the board up here at the top. We also have a cable that's running underneath, so it looks like we'll have to take the logic board portion out of the bottom housing first and see how that attaches. So we'll go ahead and pull off the screws here as well. And again, make sure you keep these screws separated by how they came out of the phone, so you know exactly where they go back into the device. Now we're going to go ahead and pull off the kind of the mid-frame housing here off the bottom of the phone. Using our spudger here to try to see if we can't find an angle to get it to pull up. It's on there pretty snug. Look at there's some adhesive underneath it as well on the front here. And that may just be a protector for the battery. So it's almost like this backing is kind of clipped on. There we go. We want to be extremely forceful with this. We want to try to pull it out a little bit gentle. We don't want to deform it in any way. We'll just go ahead and pull that adhesive backing off, set it aside. There we go. Now it looks like it's actually stuck under the plastic housing. So we're going to pull it up and then pull it back a little bit. And there you can see that I actually had a couple of clips holding it in. The top or by the charge port. Now we can go ahead and pull out the screw up here at the top of this upper logic board. I'm going to pull out the rear facing camera here and set it aside. We have the front facing camera here as well, which actually looks like it's connected on the front side of the board. Let's make sure it's loose, and then we'll go ahead and start to pull this back and away. Pull off the little wire connector here. Kind of pull these cables away a little bit. There's a clip right here holding this board in place. I'm going to pry near it, see if we can't get it to pop out of its housing here. Do the same thing, pull it up and forward. You see that our clip unsnapped off of the top of the logic board. And here we have the connector for the front facing camera. And here's a connector that I was talking about for the ribbon cable that runs underneath the phone. This is the charge port cable. We have our earpiece speaker, so we can pull that out and replace it if we like. We have a little connector cable here for the display that runs down the portion of the phone. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out and away of the device. A little adhesive underneath it. Try to keep that on the phone. And we have our charge port cable here. It's running down the device. We also have a screw in it and a wire connector here. We'll go ahead and pull the connection off of the board. Pull the cable back just a little bit. Now it is actually stuck underneath this plastic housing and into the mid-frame guide rails of the phone. I'm not going to pull it all the way out. I'm just going to loosen it and pull it back. Go ahead and pull up this cable. Now this is all one piece down here at the bottom. And in fact, the vibration module is part of this piece. It's actually soldered to the charge port daughter board. I'll go ahead and pull the screw out, holding all this in. Now before we can pull the charge port daughter board out, we'll actually need to lift the vibration module out of its place. We may have to just pull it here. And sorry I went off camera just a little bit. I'm just using my nylon spudger here to see if we can't loosen up the vibration module. Find an opening underneath it to kind of pull at it. We'll find something a little bit different, a pick style tool. It's the nylon gun pick that I'll use next, which is actually pretty handy. They actually use them for cleaning guns, but they can come in pretty handy for phone repair apparently. It's got a sharp end, just like a dental pick would have. It's getting underneath the vibration module and pulling it back and up. There we go. Now with that done, we can go ahead and pull up on the charge port connector here. It does have a little bit of adhesive underneath it. So just take your time as you're pulling it up. We don't want to damage this cable. There you have it. Now really this is the majority of the disassembly for the phone. If you want to replace your charge port, you just have to get this cable and put it back in place. If you want to remove your volume cable or your power button, you actually will need to pull off the plastic housing to get at the connector. This plastic housing would come off just like if you were to heat it up and pull it away like you did the backing of the phone, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to read here and sit in place. So unless you have to do that, I wouldn't do so. You can see it starting to pull up just right there. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll throw all the parts and tools and stuff in the description of the video. Like, subscribe, share if you'd like. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.